Hey guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about my birth with Xavier. I had a request on this video, just kind of giving my input and what I went through and all that. So I'm going to talk you guys through it. I'm going to tell you guys what my opinion was on it. And yeah. So with Xavier, I was 29 weeks, I'm sorry, 29, that's crazy. I was 39 weeks pregnant with him. And Isaiah, my previous son, that was born 3 years earlier, was really big. He was a big baby and he was born 3 weeks early. So since Xavier was coming a few weeks later, I had the same doctor for both. So my doctor was afraid that Xavier was going to be huge since Isaiah was a big baby. My doctor thought since this one's coming at 40 weeks, he's going to be even bigger. So he decided to induce me at 39 and 5 days. Yeah, I was 39 weeks and 5 days pregnant with Xavier, and he decided, you know what, let's induce you because it seems like this baby's gonna be pretty big and we don't want to do a C-section or have to do something like that because he's too big. So that's what we ended up doing. He scheduled a C-section for that exact day actually. So I was like, okay, fine. No, I'm sorry. He scheduled an induction for that exact day. So I was fine with it. I was just so over being pregnant. I know there's a lot of risks. Thinking about it now, I should have just waited until he wanted to come, but I got induced. So I got to the hospital around 12 o'clock or 11 at night. And they had to run medicine through an IV for about 6 hours because I had an infection. So before they could give me the medication to induce me, I had to actually get medication for my infection. So that's what they were doing. They were, you know, just running the medication for 6 hours, okay? So after about 6 hours, it was finally time to put in my medicine to induce me. It was around 4:40 or 4:50 a.m. something like that. She came in and she started prepping me. She didn't actually put the medicine in till about 5. So she put the medicine in, left, came back like at 5:30, still found nothing. So she gave me more medicine so I could be stronger, so I could get stronger contractions. She came back at 6, and then at 6 she also came with the new nurse. I believe they switched shifts at around 6. So she came back with the new nurse, introduced me to her, whatever. I was at 0. No, I was 1. I was dilated at 1. I wasn't even close to dilating. So they induced me. They just kept pumping up the medication because I felt like it wasn't doing anything to me. So they kept putting the medication higher and higher. So at 6, the old nurse left, the new one came, and she said, well, I'll come back and check you in an hour, which would have been 7. Sorry guys, Xavier wanted to join me, so I had to pick him up. Say hi. Say hi. I'm talking about you. So, where was I? Oh, so they came, so about 6 o'clock, the nurse checked on me. I was about a 1, so she left. Once again, they pumped up the induction medication. What's wrong? So, the induction medication just they pumped it up more. And then she left. Now this was at 6 o'clock. So I didn't really feel anything until about 6:30. That's when the pain came very intensely. It was strong. So I was complaining to my mom. I was like, Mom, it's hurting a lot. I mean, I guess that's how labor is, right? I know a lot of women's concerns is getting induced and not getting an epidural, which is why I'm kind of doing this video. I got induced, but I didn't get an epidural or any pain medication. Not necessarily because I didn't want to, but because there was no time. I'll explain that after I finish telling the whole birth story. Even though I already made a birth story, but it was about comparing epidural without epidural, so this is a little different. This one's just telling my whole birth story with Xavier and the difference between having a kid being induced but not getting any epidural while doing it. So like around 6:30 the pains got really strong. They were extremely painful, but since they had just checked me at 6 and I was barely at 1, the nurse didn't want to check me again. I know they tend to do that. They're like, no, we can't check again. The upside to this was, since I didn't have an epidural, I was walking. I kept going to the bathroom because I was like in immense pain. It felt really bad. So at about, I want to say like 7:10, I couldn't handle the pain. I could, it was just, I was like, it's really strong. So I wanted them to check me. So I believe I had my mom call the nurse. She came to check me. I made her check because I couldn't handle it. I needed to know if I was opening or why was I in so much pain. She checked me, and sure enough, I was at 5 centimeters. No, I was at 4 centimeters. Almost, I guess, she said it was like a 4-5. So this was already 7. Like 7:10, 7:15. Yeah, but be careful he doesn't fall. So 7:10, 7:15, and I was in a lot of pain, and she checked me. I was a 4-5, she said. So at around that time, she said if I wanted to get an epidural, it was fine to call the epidural guy before he left. So that's what I was like, okay, yeah. I had an epidural with Isaiah. Of course I wanted it this time, especially feeling the pain I felt and hearing everybody say that when you get induced, the pain is more strong. So I was even more scared of it. If I was already feeling strong pains, I thought it was only going to get worse. So of course, I was like, yes. So it took about 10-15 minutes for the epidural guy to get there. It was probably like 7:30 when he got there. Yeah, around 7:30. So he started, prepping, and the nurse was talking to me. I was still in a lot of pain. I kept getting up, going to the restroom. Stop there. So all this time, it probably took like 20 minutes. So at about 7:50, he tried doing the epidural. It took him a while. It took him about 10 minutes to try to, I don't know what he was doing. I just know my spine was hurting a lot, and he said he couldn't do it pretty much. So be careful please, be careful. So he ended up saying that he just couldn't do it, that it didn't work with me, that I don't know. He was really, like, it was ridiculous. I totally regret going with that hospital. I feel like it was so unprofessional, honestly, thinking about it. It was so dumb that his daily job is to put epidural on women, that's what he does for a living, and he couldn't put mine. He just couldn't do it. Yeah. So to me it was ridiculous. So he's like, I can't do it. And I was holding pretty still, getting contractions. I was getting horrible contractions, and I was still, you have to like hold still and like put your head down. I was doing all that. Hector and my mom were not in the room. They made him go outside. So at this time, the contractions were so bad, and he's like, oh, I can't do it, and he was still trying, but I literally, you guys, I could feel like my spine, like probably like the vein, I don't know, my spine like moving, like moving like a snake, and it was just so painful. My legs, like, he was like hitting a nerve in my legs because I could feel my legs like they were hurting. that's when I was like, you know what, the contractions got even worse. So I know it's dangerous. Excuse me. I know it's dangerous, but at that point, I think he took out the needle, so it wasn't in my back anymore. And I just kind of told him, no, don't, because he was going to try again. I rolled over and I told him not to try again. I was in crazy, crazy, crazy pain. Now, remember, like 30 minutes earlier, I was barely like a 4-5. So everybody thought I was exaggerating. The nurse thought I was exaggerating. The epidural guy thought I was exaggerating. They kept calling more nurses, and they thought it was just ridiculous. They checked me again, and now at this time, I was a 9. So I went from, 1 to 9 within 2 hours. So it was about 8 o'clock, and I was already at a 9, and I was telling her, you know what, I'm going to push, because it was crazy. What's wrong? You want to be in the camera? Hi! Hi! So I started pushing, and I guess they saw his head or something, because they immediately, hey, you need to let me do the video. They must have saw his head, because at that time, they immediately called my mom and Hector back in the room, and she was telling me to wait for the doctor, which, yeah, I wasn't going to wait for him. It was just like, I felt bad, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I felt the urge to push. I had to push, so that's what I did. So I pushed him out, and Xavier was born at 8:10 a.m., right? When they didn't think he was going to be born until like 5 in the afternoon. Wow, are you mad? You're so mad. You're so mad. Here, stay with mommy's one. So, he was born at 8:10 a.m. and that was about 2 hours that I felt the contractions. I started getting them at around 6:30. So 2 hours and a half or something. It was about 2 hours that I felt the contractions, and I didn't get the epidural, because after I had him I was walking normal, my legs were not numb, none of that. So the contractions that I got were pretty strong. I'm not going to say they weren't. He is my second baby, so I know when you get induced with your first baby, it tends to be longer. Maybe since he was my second, that's why it went by so fast. So I got induced, and it was painful because I did have him natural. So it was like, I've never felt contractions without epidural, because obviously with Isaiah my water broke. So before I even felt any contractions, they put the epidural in. But I only felt the contractions for about 2 hours and a half with Xavier getting induced, and they were painful, but they weren't as bad as I expected them to be, because people try to paint you the big picture, like, oh my god, when you get induced, it's horrible, the pain is so bad. Maybe because some people, the doctors have to like break your water, and I heard that was painful, and the doctor did not have to break my water, nothing. They just pretty much just put the medicine of inducing me, and my body did everything on its own. My water broke by itself, everything came by itself, but I didn't really see the big difference in getting contractions naturally and getting contractions when you're induced. I'm sure there is a difference, especially for women that get induced and are in labor for hours without any pain medication. But me, it wasn't that bad, and it's not horrible like people make it seem to everybody, like, oh my god, you're gonna feel the worst pain if you get induced, and it's not that bad. I mean, I think if that's the case, if you want to have a natural birth and you know that you're going to get induced, there's no reason to freak out about it. It's going to be okay. It's not that bad of, it's not that big of a difference. I mean, again, like I said, my labor was only like 2 hours, so maybe if you're, I don't know, I pretty much opened from 0 to 10 in about an hour and a half. So it was painful. I felt like it was like the most pain I could probably have tolerated. If it would have been more painful than that, I feel like there was no way I would have tolerated it. I mean, probably even thinking that now, 7 months later, that I forgot the pain. But I do remember that after having him, I was like, you know what? It wasn't as bad as everybody said. Everybody always tells you, if you're going to get induced, it's the worst pain ever. It's not that bad. So, if you're going to get induced, and you want a natural birth, you don't want any pain medication, you don't want an epidural, I think it would be, this is just my opinion, I think you should go through with your plans. There's no point in changing it and, you know, getting epidural just because you're getting induced and you feel like it's going to be way more painful. Contractions are contractions. Everybody's body is different. Maybe my body has a higher, maybe my body just could take pain better than other women's bodies. So, who really knows? But I don't think it's that bad. You guys heard my story. I mean, honestly, the nurse, I feel like they were surprised that I wasn't in more pain when I was like ready to give birth. They thought I was probably like at 4 centimeters and I was already complaining. But literally, I was at 9 centimeters and that's why I was complaining the way I was. I wasn't making a big deal either. So, everybody's different. Everybody handles pain differently. But I think if your mind is set on having a natural birth without any pain medications, but your doctor ends up saying you do have to get induced, or you're like in 42 weeks, if you're past your due date and you need to get induced, you don't necessarily need to change your plans on having a natural birth. I think you should still go through with it and not really freak out about it. Once again, that's just my thought on it. So, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And thank you for watching my video. I just wanted to put my input out there and what I thought and my birth experience on having a birth, being induced but non-medicated. So I just wanted to let you guys know my point of view of it, and pretty much. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.